Hey folks, today I'm talking about the toxic voice of the Great Awakening. This is a super important topic. I'm talking about first, the Ascension Process, two, righteousness and judgment, and three, how to communicate effectively during this Great Awakening time. So stay tuned. My name is Rebecca Abraxas, and we are diving deep to rise high, remembering our greatness together. So the ascension process, this is really important to understand to glean respect and honor for where every person on the planet is in their space and time. Okay, so this process I learned from Sat Shri when I was studying the Bhagavad Gita, and it's a really powerful process and it makes so much sense to me. So every human being is going to embody. I think we can agree about that, right? And so when we embody our soul or energetic, we come on down into this physical reality, right? The 3D physical reality, here that is. And we go about our merry way, having a physical reality, believing in cause and effect, and feeling like life's happening and life's happening to us. And there's not a lot of control. Life just is happening. And we have friends and family and cause and effect and a physical reality. And life can be good and life can be bad and sad. And this is our physical 3D reality. Then all of a sudden we start to realize, I think I'm a human having a spiritual experience. And that's called the dejection process. Okay, it's this little space here. I believe it's 4D, fourth dimension, and where we start to question everything. The rug is pulled out from under us. This is a very difficult time. This is where all the dark nights of the soul happen. This is where the ego starts having a lot of tantrums because because like you're onto some of its shenanigans. And this is where you start to have some broader perspectives about your physical reality. And as I said, this is where lightworkers start to key in on their mission on the planet. However, it is a time, it's a time of newbiness, where you're realizing that something else is happening. And a lot of lightworkers stay in this 4D reality and do a lot of teaching from here, which right now on the planet can be a good place to have some teaching from, but it also can create a little bit more separation, and I'm going to tell you why. So here we are having this physical embodiment, 3D, and then we're going to 4D, having this dejection process, and all the light workers are waking up to their mission, and they want to help, and they want to rescue, and there's a lot of points of view here. There's a lot of righteousness here, and there's a lot of judgment here. And so here we have this, and then over on this side, so this is one side, we have this bridge of like waking up a little bit, and then we have this other side where we are ascending, gaining perspective, we're finding out truth, we're growing our awareness, we're growing our allowance, we are embodying oneness, or just ascending right out of our bodies. So here we have this little journey, and every single person on the planet goes through this. It's embodiment, it's questioning, and then it's realization. There's something else happening on the planet too right now. One is the Great Awakening's happening because the earth is starting to go through her own awakening and raising her vibration, which is creating a quickening on the planet with human beings to have their awakenings faster too. So a lot more people are going into that dejection phase. And a lot more people in that dejection phase, what does that dejection phase bring? It brings like ego tantrums. It brings a little bit more righteousness and judgment, judging the physical, right? So what we want to do is get out of this 4D reality as quick as possible and get into this ascension zone where we're heading into 5D and above, all these higher dimensions where that unity consciousness really is. So in 4D, what's happening is a lot of people are getting the idea of unity consciousness, but they're not exactly getting how to have it and be it in their lives. And so there's a lot of judgment happening to the 3D world. And I have been there. I'm humbled, and, I have to admit this myself. I've been very righteous in the sake of being a helper, in finding out that I'm a light worker and just want to be here to light up the planet and help the planet ascend. I also have been very judgmental and telling people how to live their lives. And I have done that. And it actually created a lot of suffering for myself and for the people that I was projecting this on. So 4D is a tough place. And how do we evolve, mature? I think mature is a better word, mature out of this space as fast as we can. Because this is where the judgment and righteousness is across the board with all religions and spiritual perspectives. All right, so if everyone is doing this, wherever we are on the spectrum, we really have to be treating each other with honor and respect. Every person is going through this process. Every person is at a different place on the trajectory. So, which brings me again to this righteousness and judgment. So on the planet right now, there is so many different realities happening. And I'm seeing influencers on YouTube that are pretty awake, yet they're kind of bashing how light workers are talking, or they're saying, there's spiritual teachers that, are telling, people that are physically down and out to just choose. Now, I get what they're saying, but what they're doing is judging people too. So what's happening is we're just speaking the wrong language to people. We all are going to have our niches of audiences that we're speaking to. And when we're in a certain niche, we can speak the ascension language that feels aligned with us. But when we're not speaking to that specific audience, it's our job to expand our awareness and find the language that this person can hear where they are on their trajectory, where they are 3D or 4D. So as an influencer on YouTube, I think it's their responsibility to know that language, right? So, and know the audience that they're speaking to. So if someone is a spiritual teacher and they know their audience, they're going to speak in a certain way. But to speak in that same way to a homeless person is really dishonoring and disrespectful. So as we gain awareness, we can see that someone perhaps at the border who just lost their child, you wouldn't say, just choose happiness. You would say, how can I help you? Do you need a blanket? Do you need a home? Can I tithe to you? Do you need food? You would start off with the physical needs, then go down into the, mental, emotional needs. Then you would go down into some of the broader needs of spirit and energetics. And just by being willing to be non-judgmental and meeting them where they are, you actually are giving them the energy of unity and oneness. So you don't even have to spew your ascension language on them. Your light will come through by your willingness to meet them where they are and honoring where they are. And this will change the planet if we can get out of judgment and righteousness and just really meet people where they are. That again, you don't tell a 2-year-old, get out of your terrible twos, right? People in 4D, they might just be righteous and judgmental until they start to see that it's creating suffering and until that awareness kind of matures. So as people that were on this column of ascension and awareness and growing in truth, we can see that these spiritual light workers, they're growing. They're in their terrible twos in their ascension process, and it's okay. Give them allowance for where they are. And then if you are having the awareness that, I think I've matured out of the righteousness judgment, I'm actually going to go into allowing. That next piece after righteousness and judgment is allowing. Allowing everyone their choices on the planet, which doesn't mean that you can't have a voice for what doesn't work for you. But when you align or push against something or defend something, you're making that stronger, and you are densifying the two polarities that are happening on the planet. Now, we're always going to have polarity on this planet. That's what makes us have this experience. But we can start to decrease the density of the polarity and have less suffering. And that is with what's happening with the 5D unity consciousness. Really growing and opening allowance for every experience on the planet. And then going into what people can hear. So going off on a tangent and a rant about unity to people that have dementia, for example, or are homeless with dementia. It's not going to land. They're not going to be able to receive that. So it's our job to expand our awareness, be in allowance, and really tune in. What can this person receive? They can receive a blanket with my light all around it. They can receive a warm meal. They can receive a hug. They can receive understanding. So what can they receive? And your growing awareness will be able to speak the language of the need that they require at that moment. And never underestimate what your language is doing. So for example, I've had some family conversations recently, and part of me was like, wow, I don't feel like I really was, gave them much to, chew on, or I don't feel like I was that wise on this conversation. Yet both conversations came back to me and said, wow, I just felt so calm and peaceful after that conversation. Wow, that conversation was just what I needed to just go forth in my day. And I was like, I don't know what I did, except I listened. And I said, I understand. That was kind of like the biggest thing of it. And so meet people where they are. Use the language that they can understand and tune in to what they can receive. If, saying to someone, choose your happiness, that's kind of a very broad perspective. And that's not something that everybody can hear. And it may cause more separation and contraction in someone than it will their expansion and their joy. So, toxic communication is a real thing with this great awakening. As light workers, we can really spread more toxicity if we're not willing to live with awareness, allowance, and really tune in to what someone can receive from us. And it's really important to meet people where they are with their needs: physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual. And believe me, you don't have to spew out spiritual commentary for people to feel and get unity, oneness energy. You can give them a blanket and they may get that. So I find this to be a crucial element, and I had to go through this maturing process myself and a ton of suffering, realizing that, wow, I'm not speaking people's language and I'm doing more harm than good. I had to go through that awakening myself. I just want to offer this video. Perhaps it will contribute to you so you don't have to go into as much suffering as I just did with coming out of that dejection process and into this other area of ascension. And it's just key to know that every human being is going through this journey. So let's respect and honor where people are on the trajectory. All right, what do you know about this topic? I would love to hear it in the comments. And thanks so much for watching this. And please subscribe to this channel and let's get this information out there. Your subscription and ringing that bell really help me get into the YouTube algorithm so this information gets out there to really help the maturing process of 4D and above. All right, everybody, beautiful people, have a wonderful, beautiful day.